Good morning. This is the Dogie Trail where it exits Sycamore Canyon. About 25 years ago, a friend and I used this trail to climb out of that canyon after 3 days and nights with no water. We learned a lot on that, but every now and then you want to come back and revisit something that was a little sad. And that's something about today's anime I'm going to talk about.
Windaria.
Windaria is a fantasy anime movie from 1986, a sort of fairy tale fable about love and greed. The movie had a heavily edited US release that I'll talk about later, but I'm talking about the original Japanese version today. Windaria is a study in contrasts and human weaknesses. It's set in an alternate world of oddly mixed technology that also has a unique theology. Izu is a strong, handsome farmer. He's not the brightest guy in the village of Saki. His grand dreams often draw laughter from his friends and neighbors. But he has the unwavering support and love of a good wife, the lovely Marin. She's hard-working and spiritual, praying to the great tree Windaria that's the center of their farming village. Together they seem the perfect, happy couple. Saki's farmers trade their crops in Issa, a prosperous nation by the sea. Its capital harnesses the tides for both energy and water. The land is fertile and the people are happy and well-fed. Another nation, Paro, has a harsher land in the mountains and covets the wealth of Issa. Despite this, the heirs of those two rival nations' thrones are secretly in love. Issa's Princess Anas is pretty and cheerful, beloved by her subjects, but uninterested in affairs of state, much to the distress of her mother, the queen. Paro's handsome Prince Jill is more serious-minded, but isolated by his disagreements with his father, the king. The two lovebirds keep in touch by carrier pigeon and meet in secret in the rather depressingly named Forest of Doubt. In the very first scene, Windaria shows us its world's most unique difference. At a funeral for an elderly villager, we actually see the soul ascend to a mysterious ghost ship as it flies overhead, displaying a surprisingly technological look for such a spiritual concept. We'll learn a little later that the captain of that ghost ship is, or was, a mortal man, Bamboo, who made a decade-long pact to shepherd those souls like Karen over the river Styx. The villagers think Bamboo's wife, Druida, drove her husband to make that pact by nagging him to become something more than just a farmer. She now wanders the village, a sorrowful, lonely woman who longs for her husband to return. It's ironic that it's Izu who tells the rumor about how Druide's desire for something better than farming drove her husband to leave and the price she's now paid. Izu has a desire of his own to become more than just a farmer. He wants more, partly for his lovely wife Marin, though she's quite content living with her loving husband, growing great vegetables on their small farm. Izu doesn't lack for courage or strength. When a Paro terrorist tries to flood Issa by opening the tidal gates, it's Izu who races to the ramparts to close them again and save the city. He hopes for a great reward for that act of heroism, which never comes. As the villagers fret that they'll be caught in the middle of the coming war, Izu sees it as a chance to make some money. The more the villagers laugh at Izu's big dreams of wealth, the more determined he becomes to prove himself to them. Eventually, the agents of Issa and Paro send visitors to the village of Saki, but Paro gives Izu a fancy ATV to play with and urges him to join their side in the coming war. Boy toys win every time. Izu decides to seek riches in war. In his mind, it's all for Marin, though she would prefer to have Izu stay, but she understands and promises to wait for his return. She even gives him a present to protect him before he leaves. Izu's departure breaks her heart.
Mari, 約束しよう.
Once Izu begins working for Paro, he's soon seduced by pride, money, power, and the local whores. He forgets about Marin, his friends back in Saki and Issa, and everything that's really important. Paro's army, on the other hand, is a bad joke. The anime wants to question the competence of their leadership, but this gang makes the F Troop look disciplined. After seeing them in training, I'd join the other side for sure. The contrast between the two nations is a little overstated as well. Everything in Paro is dark and cheerless. Their favorite color is black. Issa, for its part, is clean and bright, with sparkling water and bright pastel colors. They're using crossbows and hot air balloons to take on Paro's guns and airplanes. Meanwhile, as Issa and Paro mobilize for war, Princess Anas and Prince Joe are finding it hard to keep their love alive. Each, like so many teens before them, wants to prove that they can do things better than their parents did and not screw things up. But neither has the strength to turn aside the coming disaster, even though each is asked to take over the fight from their royal parents. As everything is falling apart late in the movie, their meeting on an old stone bridge in the Forest of Doubt is, for me at least, one of anime's most memorable and emotional scenes. Here's a part of it.
私だってそうよ。浮ついたものじゃなかった。
Wind Aria is a movie that concentrates on individual emotions, as many of its protagonists forget what's really important to them in the face of temptation. In the end, it's a tragedy pretty much all around, a real tearjerker. The animation of Wind Aria looks just a bit dated today, but it is a full-fledged theatrical anime, not some 60-minute OVAs with delusions of grandeur. The artwork is still beautiful, but the fixed perspective of the camera and the stiff movement of objects reflect the multiplane camera techniques used in that period 25 years ago. It's more than adequate to tell the story, especially when combined with the solid foreground character animation. The music of Wind Aria is well worth noting. It features 3 nice vocal pieces for the opening and closing credit animations, plus 1 interior montage song. The background music features a number of soft, haunting themes with a very slow electronic beat that underscores the mysterious and spiritual aspects of the film. All in all, the music works wonderfully. Wind Aria has a story I find truly affecting, nice art designs, and a moving soundtrack. I give it 4.5 stars and find it still holds up well today. Back in 1987, Harmony Gold licensed Wind Aria for North American release and did some drastic editing, making a movie that wasn't very complicated to begin with even simpler. Most of the material about the ghost ship was removed. Druida no longer pines for her missing husband, but has now been driven mad by Shadowland water, and was actually split into 2 characters, so the character we meet at the end is named as a different woman. It only lost 10 minutes of total running time and had a few scenes rearranged, but a lot of the dialogue was rewritten too. For me, it really spoils several of the points of the movie. It was originally released by Streamline Pictures under the title Once Upon a Time, but sadly the same edit was later reappear from ADV Films under the original title Wind Aria, even though it's not the original movie. For that reason, if you're interested in seeing this, I very strongly suggest you track down the original Japanese version.
Thanks for watching.